As it relates to the consulting profession, everybody's excited about getting that consulting coin. Everybody's excited about being able to take their life's experience and apply it and be compensated. The difficulty is I'm not sure that as it relates to the enterprise of consulting, that everybody realizes that about 90% of it is sales and prospecting. And it's after you've overcome that particular, some would see it as an obstacle, some would see it as an opportunity, but when you've mastered that, that's when the opportunity to serve and deliver that information set, that knowledge that you've been entrusted with, you can actually apply it. But let's start and dive into what it looks like to really succeed in enterprise, in consulting. First of all, let's talk about where prospects come from. And you know what, I want to clarify some terms. Leads. Well, people say, why we need leads? Well, do you know that we possess the contact information for every single nonprofit organization in the United States? So we have the lead set. The question is whether or not a lead becomes a prospect. And I would like to declare that a prospect really is any nonprofit organization that we end up having a conversation with about a need that they have that we can possibly meet. So if a lead is any nonprofit in the charitable sector universe, a prospect is somebody that we've begun a dialogue with that has a need that we can meet. So if we understand what the lead universe is, every nonprofit, and again, because we've got every address of every nonprofit, I'm not sure how good a lead set does us. The better question is how does a person become, or a nonprofit become, a prospect, go from a lead to a prospect? And I'd like to define that as we have had a conversation or a dialogue with one of those organizations' leaders that talks about a need that they have that we could meet. I'll say it again. A nonprofit is a lead, but what converts a lead to a prospect? When we begin a conversation that allows us to serve, and we begin a dialogue where we're discussing a need that that organization has that we can meet. So the question then is how do we generate prospects? I think there's several different ways. The first is, what about the consultant's own personal network of relationships? And how do you build that network? Do you attend your local AFP chapter meeting? Do you, or are you a member of your nonprofit association? By the way, AFP is Association of Fundraising Professionals. When we talk about your nonprofit association, Maryland is MANO, Maryland Association of Nonprofit Organizations. Florida is FANO, Florida Association of Nonprofit Organizations. Louisiana is LANO, Louisiana Association of Nonprofit Organizations. Here in South Carolina, it's SCANPO, South Carolina Association of Nonprofit Organizations. The boards that you serve on, the relationships that you have, the associations that you're a member of, these are all ways for you to begin to have a dialogue about a need that a particular nonprofit has. What could those needs be? Strategic planning, capital campaign. Most of the time they don't know that they need Major Gifts Ramp Up because they don't know MGRU exists. So don't try to push on them something that they don't have a knowledge about, but allow what they perceive their need to be the door opener for us to introduce the right solution. Organizational developments, support with special events. Some people need direct mail writing support. One of our colleagues is fond of saying, what does it look like for you to explore their pain? And again, you can get in trouble if you sit down and you tell them about all the wonderful things that we do. If instead you're able to articulate back to them your understanding of the situation, the obstacle, the problem, the opportunity that they have, if you can be more cogent and let them know that you understand even better than they do what their need is, all of a sudden you're able to look at them in the eye and just say, I think we can help. And that's all they're looking for. So the first way that we generate prospects from leads are our own personal network. The second place we look at leads to turn them into prospects are what conferences or what faculties are you serving on an annual basis? And then if you are serving on a faculty, do you get a booth at that particular expo or conference? And by the way, I am not fond of vending for the sake of vending. But I've just found that people rush quickly by your booth and they don't want to talk to you. But what role does a booth play? Well, if you're serving on a faculty and speaking regarding a topic, and you take them to the mountaintop and you have a good time, then you can direct them. You can gather their cards. You can direct them to that booth so that they can meet you privately. And then you have a place to caucus. And then there's a real value in having a vendor, participating in a vendor village. I have been privileged to serve on the AFP faculty at the local level, at the national level. Evangelical Development Ministries Institute, Christian Stewardship Association. What about the niche conferences? Christian Camping International, Christian Stewardship Association. Are you actively pursuing an opportunity to serve on somebody else's faculty for their annual conference? Okay, so number one was your own personal network. Number two was serving on faculties and attending conferences. Number three is referrals. You know, the first question is, do you have in place a mechanism, a real system? The collateral documents are ready. The website is available to be forwarded on. The emails are crafted. When somebody sends you a referral or you receive a phone call. But more importantly, I think, is what are you doing to generate referrals? If you sat down with the head of the Community Foundation, or you sat down with the head of your South Carolina Association of Nonprofit Associations, or even your AFP chapter, what does it look like to say, what campaigns are going on in town? Or who do we know that is thinking about going into strategic planning or organizational development? Who needs support? You know, if you ask these questions, and then that person allows you to use their name, where you could give that prospective nonprofit a call and say, I was just speaking with Jack Smith, and he let me know that you guys are entertaining a capital campaign. Would just love to spend some time with you, just to have lunch to go over and see if there's opportunities to really succeed in this way. So again, the first, of course, is your personal network. The second is faculty and conferences that you're serving on. The third is referrals. The fourth is lunch and learn. We just did this last week, where only 24 hours in advance, we sent out an email to 200 of the right nonprofits. And actually, it only represented 75 nonprofits, but we had about 200 emails from those 75 nonprofits. And we let them know that there was going to be a private lunch reception only the next day that was going to overview Major Gifts Ramp Up. And in this case, Jimmy LaRose was going to be in town, and there was going to be an opportunity to meet with him privately. Well, I'll be a son of a gun, 12 of the right people, they weren't sure what they were coming to, but they were a little bit inquisitive, a little bit curious and excited. And of course, we underwrote lunch, and I don't think it cost a lot to do lunch, just a plate of sandwiches for 12 people. We started out with an introduction. We started at 11:30. Started out with an introduction for about 15, 20 minutes. Got to know each other. Everybody broke and got their sandwich, came back. And then for an hour and a half, we reviewed the 13 chapters of Major Gifts Ramp Up. And they were excited, and they wanted to learn more. And now there's the opportunity to follow up in each one of those cases, because we earned the right. Okay, we're coming down the home stretch. Number one is your personal network. Number two are conferences and faculties that you serve on. Number three are referrals. Number four is the lunch and learn. Number five is your actual National Development Institute conference event. You have an opportunity to be highlighted and serve on that faculty. We, of course, the team will bring the NDI and all of our staff and resources to a particular city where you're located or where you're interested in serving clients. And as you know, we'll promote that for months and months in advance. And we have anywhere from 50, 75, 100 people attend a 2-day conference. And boy, there is a, you know, it's a little bit different because there's lots of opportunity to do the right work in advance, have this amazing moment when you're in front of people, and then you're able, of course, to follow up in a way because they're fully informed because of the content that occurred at that conference event. And of course, because you're serving on the faculty and highlighted and you're leading, your position, your level of visibility is raised. So you don't want to miss the opportunity to host an NDI event in your particular city or a city that you want to work. There's a sixth area, but let's review the first five. Number one is your personal network. Number two are the faculty and conferences that you serve on. Number three are referrals. Number four is lunch and learn events. Number five is an NDI event. But what's number six? Do you know that there are people, nonprofit organizations, board members, administrators, executives, that are downloading resources from our websites constantly? We have the first name, last name, phone number, and email, and in other cases, their complete address information. What does it look like for you creatively to come up with a way to cultivate them and bring them closer to becoming a prospect? Because right now, they're basically a lead, but at least they're a lead that has had some contact with us and that has benefited from our services. There is also the NDI Master Alumni List. And I think right now that's somewhere upwards of 4,000 individuals that have attended NDI events in the past. And you know, it could be a simple reminder. They weren't ready back then, or that because we didn't have the resources, they may not have even been approached. But what does it look like for you to have that resource available to you to convert from a lead into a prospect? Okay, this section is converting leads to prospects. There are 6 ways that we do it, or pools that we draw from. The first, of course, is your personal network. The second is the faculty and conferences that you serve on. The third is referrals. The fourth is lunch and learns. The fifth is your NDI conference event. And the sixth are what we call the contacts, the individuals that come into our universe and that have had some point of contact with our resources, also combined with the NDI Master Alumni List, individuals that have attended an event in the past, may not have been ready then or may not even have been followed up on. So let's see what we can do to convert leads into prospects.